relievers. What do you think is the biggest issue with your bullpen right now?
Yeah, I thought Carlos obviously threw the ball well, gave us a 6 strong there. Just didn't get much going offensively, and then kind of chipped away there. In that inning, Dval comes in and gets a couple big outs after Mark got the strikeout. And then just obviously got away from us there in the in the 8th when Camilo went back out. So these nights are frustrating, obviously. But it's that time of year we gotta get over it and get ready for tomorrow. But obviously they've been able to really add on late in some close games early.
Last 2 nights against these Detroit pitchers, why do you feel like your offense hasn't gained much traction?
Yeah, I thought Flaherty was good tonight. I thought he was, I thought he was getting some, calls there at the bottom of the zone, and I thought he did a good job down there. Like he didn't seem to leave much up and out over the plate for us. I thought his command was really good, and his execution was really good. But obviously we just didn't mount much. We gotta create some traffic for ourselves, and that was a challenge for us tonight.
Touched on Carlos. He looked like he was rolling through the first 4 and then kind of slipped up a bit in the 5th. What'd you see from him in that inning?
Yeah, I mean, has the walk and then the hit batter. But really thought buckled down good. Glaber put a good at bat on him, but it was a good competitive at bat. So he was still managing, the contact against him. It wasn't getting hit real hard. And, you sign up for 6 innings and 2 runs, where he kind of cruised all night, had the one tough inning where he battled, and then goes back out and finishes strong in the 6th there to give us a chance. We just, weren't mounting much.
Is this frustration with the bullpen more disappointing, where recently it feels like starters are getting those extra 3 outs consistently?
I don't know. Look, this is 2 days. I mean, the bullpen has been closing out some really important games for us of late. That's, let us go on a pretty good run. These are, 2 nights in a row where, we haven't got it done, but, we're also behind and, chasing a little bit. Cruiser last night's been great. He had the hiccup. So, I think through this, there's been a lot of good. These last 2 nights have obviously been rough.
Ron and Clay, go ahead, give it to Clay.
Aaron, what did you see from Weaver tonight? Was it just one of those nights for him?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I never want to bring Weave into a situation like that. But obviously, you get short and you kind of have to. I was going to go to Slater, and then Wells hits the homer to make it a 7-run game. So, I mean, you hate going to a guy in that situation, but if you go Cruz, then he's probably down tomorrow. And we've had the most rest between Williams and Bednar. So, just one of those situations where, they put a couple good swings on. They find a hole right out the jump with Perez, rolls one through the right side. And they put a couple good swings on him, but, not a situation, obviously, I like having them in.
Ron.
You mentioned coming in behind chasing. Do you think they come in a little bit just feeling they have to make perfect pitches?
I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something to that. But, look, I mean, we can dissect it a little bit. Like, Cruz had a rough outing, where, he lost the strike zone a little bit, and they didn't chase him necessarily. Weave's in a situation where he really shouldn't be in. And then, Leiter, I feel like, it was good to see him get the punch of Carpenter. I thought he made some really good pitches, and that's in line with who he is. But, I think starting last night, just a little inconsistent with the work. Probably we got to get him into a rhythm. And then Camilo did some good things, and then kind of having to go back out kind of loses his way a little bit. So, we got to do a better job, obviously, but, some tougher circumstances for some guys in these last 2.
Brian.
I wanted to ask you about Dval. What have you seen so far from him? I mean, he's a couple years from being an all-star.
Yeah, again, it's that mixed bag. You see, if he flashes it, he'll flash that swing and miss with the slider. Obviously, it's a big arm with the cutter and the sinker. The strike throwing hasn't been great, and that's hurt him in some outings. Making sure we're staying on top of it and controlling the running game and things like that. So it's just been kind of inconsistent for him, and in a different kind of role for him, where you're going to a new team and you're in a different role and working through those challenges.
Chris.
Since the All-Star break, the bullpen has an ERA over 5 collectively. What gives you that confidence that they can figure it out in these next few weeks ahead of October?
Yeah, I mean, track record stuff, who they are. So obviously we got to get a couple guys on track so we create that depth that we can have down there. A bullpen ERA in short samples like that can be a little misleading, like when you have a handful of games where it really gets away and it gets blown up. I feel like, through this stretch of games where over the last month we've started winning, we've closed out a lot of good games too with guys capable of shutting people down. So this is what we have. I have a lot of confidence in their ability and their stuff, but we got to bring it together, and we haven't done that consistently enough yet. Can we do it? We're going to find out, and that's what we're going to need to do if we're going to make a big run at this.
Ron.
Did you know ahead of time that Austin could be a position player, pitcher in a situation like this, or did that come up during the game?
Yeah, that came up during the game. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Aaron.